coming up next on the Conscious Courage podcast.
Financial literacy is the ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, including personal financial management, budgeting, and investing. When you are financially literate, you have the essential foundation, keyword, foundation, for a smart relationship with money. Let me repeat that.
Oh, good.
When you are financially literate, not a genius, just literate, you have the essential foundation for a smart relationship with money.
Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast and sing it with me. Happy Motivational Monday. I am your host, Devaney Tashay. I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've coined internal glow up. Whether you're here as a first-time listener or returning, thank you for tuning in. The team and I are grateful to every subscriber via YouTube and every listener via Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify, with a special shout out to all of our IGU babes keeping up with us on social media on all platforms at CC Podcast with DT. Y'all are locked in and we are too hyped to have you here, all right? Now, ensure to listen on through so you can receive those practical steps as well as any announcements that we may have. Let's dive on into today's episode.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast and happy Sing It With Me Motivational Monday. I am your host, Devaney Tashay, where I bring you new content every single Monday focused on our inner healing. Excuse me, y'all, I'm just too excited. Or what I've coined internal glow up. Now, if you've been following the podcast, we normally do deep dives related to our mental health, our emotional health. But for October, this is our 6-month anniversary. And so I'm shaking it up a bit and bringing you a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is real estate. So for the entire month of October, we are deep diving into building wealth as well as financial freedom through real estate. And no better way than to start this topic off with one of my mentors, Mr. Percy, and I'll hand it on over to him to share more about himself.
Well, thank you, Devaney. What a welcome to the podcast. And I am so proud of you. And I'm really looking forward to today. So just to kind of introduce myself again, my name is Percy. I've been in real estate since 1996. I currently hold a broker's license. I've been a broker since 2011. And I am a true believer in real estate. But at the same time, I do believe in diversification. So not just real estate, but other ways of expanding wealth. And, you know, I preach this. I love it. I think it's something that's doable for most people. And I'm very happy to share what I know about it with you today and your audience.
Thank you. So what I appreciate is the diversification. So we're going to deep dive into that because we want to break down EFTs and whatever else that you want to share. But at the end where you said we can accomplish it, not verbatim, but we can make this come to pass. A lot of people, like when I looked at buying my first property, I was younger, in my early 23 to be exact, glory to God. And a lot of people were like, why would you do that? The responsibility, like just don't go that route. And then as I've grown up, learning more about real estate, people still have that connotation of, well, I can't do that, or it's outside of my reach, or whatever the case may be. But people can, and they will if they apply the information that we're going to pull up out of all your wisdom today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so my first question is, actually, what is being a broker, or as a licensed broker? What is that for those who may not know?
So in real estate, you have actually different types of brokers. You have mortgage brokers, you have actual real estate brokers. I am a real estate broker. I represent buyers, sellers. I represent myself in terms of my sphere of influence. I typically deal with investors, seasoned investors. Every now and then I represent buyers for first-time buyers, but mostly I deal with individuals that have some level or a lot of experience with real estate. So I am what you call a real estate broker, and I handle sales for buyers and sellers.
Okay. Y'all, he said those who are experienced, baby, and I'm still learning. So I'm grateful that I have his number because I use it. I'm like, I'm looking at this, or do these numbers make sense? Or if I refinance, what is this? And so one of the properties I bought with FHA, and Mr. Percy was like, okay, you're renting it out. Now you probably want to put that property in the LLC to protect yourself. And he walked me through all those steps. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, first-time home buyers, there are a couple of programs out there, like I just mentioned, FHA, and I've heard about NACA. I haven't dived too much into it, but I'll find someone who can come on board and talk to that. There's also the VA for the veterans out there. I've used that. And then we have just said conventional loans. Now, for the first-time home buyers, can you break that down?
Sure, absolutely. And just like for yourself, you used FHA, and so did I. I bought my first fourplex. My first property was a fourplex in Oakland, California, and I used FHA. I still believe in FHA. It has changed a little bit since when I got started with it, but I think overall, hands down, it is a way for those that want to generate wealth for them and their future children, future family members, whatever it is. I think FHA is a wonderful resource for individuals that want to get started in real estate to take advantage of that. And, it's a very flexible program, although I am not a loan broker. So let's make that clear that I'm not giving loan advice.
Yes.
Or tax or legal advice, but I promote that anytime I come across just like you. When you got involved, I promoted that heavily to you, and look where it got you.
Yes.
So I think FHA is a wonderful program. It's not a hard program to understand. There are counselors out there and loan brokers that can walk individuals through, but I support it 100%.
Yes. And so the FHA, in my experience, was 3.5% or so down of the purchase price. I had to bring that to the table. And it's really a solid resource because you don't have to bring as much money as you would if a person was to use a conventional loan, which could require upward to 20 to 25% down of the purchase price. That program that I mentioned, that if you can, or if you know about it, we can talk about it. If not, I'll have to bring somebody on, is the NACA program, where a person, that's another first-time home buyer program, which you actually have to attend a virtual training to get enrolled into the program, which you don't have to do for FHA. And it's 0% down for down payment and 0% down for closing, but it takes a little longer, and maybe like a 6 to 12 month process, something I haven't tapped into. But do you have any information or insight on that you can share with people?
I think generally you covered the broad strokes of it. That's kind of the highlight of the program. I'll just say, personally, I do believe the 0% down programs are not optimal.
Okay.
I always believe that you should have some skin in the game, so to speak. So I really like the 3.5% program, but I do understand those that can't or have trouble coming up with the 3.5. NACA is a resource, but there are other programs out there like Cal HFA.
Okay.
That's a California program. I'm not sure, Davone'a, if you have that type of program in your state, but in California, Cal HFA is kind of like a silent second program. You can use that in conjunction with FHA, if I'm not mistaken. Again, it's been a while since I've touched that program, but in the past, I've helped clients that were first-time home buyers. I believe they used a combination of FHA, which is the federal program, and Cal HFA for a state program to help supplement those that don't have the full 3.5% down. But in general, Devaney, I really believe, though, it's important for borrowers to come in with some money down. That way, it becomes really real to them that they have to do everything they need to do to keep that home and pass that home down to loved ones later on in life.
That's solid. That was a gem. I've never heard of the Cal. What did you call it? Cal what?
HFA.
HFA. I didn't know of the Cal HFA. Unless you told me, but I don't think we did. Because I've been purchasing outside of California.
That's right. That's right.
Look, I don't want to say I've never, and you have.
Right. You would have no use for that program.
Okay, get a message later like, girl, I did tell you about that. Like, oh, my bad. So you did share that your first purchase was a multi-unit purchase. And so I learned in this year that there's a difference between a multi-unit and a multifamily. I've been walking around talking about multifamilies, and I learned that multifamilies are 5 units plus, and multi-units are 2 units to 4. So duplex, triplex, or quadruplex. And then you step into a multifamily, which could also look like a commercial property. But I'm not going to open up that door because I'm still learning. So for the purchasing of your first multi-unit, was there anything that was different than purchasing a single family home?
Oh, yeah, there's a big difference. Namely, as the name implies, you're dealing with multiple units, meaning you're becoming a landlord. So with a single family home, you really only have to worry about yourself unless you're going to rent out rooms. That's a way that you can become a landlord within a single family unit. But when you get into the duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes, you definitely are going to have to deal with tenant and tenant issues. Sometimes that can be a sticker shock to those that have zero experience with that. And especially if you live or you're operating in an area that has very strong tenant right rules, it can be a challenge. So it has its pluses and challenges. I won't call them minuses. I don't think there's anything minus about real estate. But what I will say, it does have its challenges, but with proper education and proper planning, all of that can be managed and all of it can be successful.
What are some experiences that you've had with tenants that maybe you weren't projecting or you did not project, and then like how did you manage it or overcome it?
Without proper screening, you really don't have a chance of vetting tenants. Sometimes we take it for granted. We may have a family member or a friend or somebody connected to a family member or friend that we may want to rent to without doing the proper due diligence of that person. And I think that's a recipe for potential disaster, especially if you're operating in a place, that has very strong tenant rights requirements or rent control requirements. So I think, to kind of mitigate those issues, it's always a good idea to do proper vetting and research on your proposed tenants. Sometimes it might make sense to have a management company.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, really not sure, or, you just want to kind of get your feet wet. That's kind of what I did when I started off. I started with a management company, and as I became kind of proficient with the landlord business, I took that on my own. But, there's nothing wrong with hiring a good, reputable management company. And I think, of all the issues that could go wrong or that could become a challenge with owning any unit, whether it's a multi-unit or you're renting, rooms out of your single family home, I think having kind of challenging tenants is the big risk. Besides, the infrastructure of the house, like roofs, plumbing issues, electrical issues, all of that kind of comes with the territory a little bit. And you really should know about all of those issues even before you buy the property. You have a right as a buyer to do all of the due diligence inspections to make sure you understand, what's going on with that property. And on top of that, the seller has a legal requirement to disclose defects with that property. So you have a really good opportunity up front to understand some of the problems, physical problems with the property. So you should not know what is not going on with that property. You should know. So based on that, I think the biggest challenge is having renters that you're responsible for, that you don't do proper vetting on, letting them occupy your space, and not understanding their history is probably the one thing that I would counsel any new tenant on if I'm representing them or if I'm involved at all with their purchase.
So much there to unpack. Thank you. So 2 areas, and it'll probably end up being 3 or 4 as I continue to talk. Vetting your tenants. So my second property, I had to leave because the military was sending me off to school, and I thought I would vet and find my own tenant myself by word of mouth. Cool. Someone told me about this single mother, and I'm like, okay, one thing for sure, you cannot discriminate in real estate. Just want to put that out there. Okay, I'm gonna have to create a disclaimer that covers a couple of things with this episode and with this topic. And so I'm like, definitely, ma'am, I will do all that I can. This is what I'm looking for. Can you afford it? And she's like, yes, kind of, sort of. And I'm like, okay, well then let's deep dive into that. Because I didn't have all of the systems and resources like to pull her credit and all that, I said, give me some of your references and I'll call them. I mean, at least that's what I can do. Long story short, the person I spoke with was like, I wouldn't rent to her. And she was having issues with making her payments on time. And she was backed up like 3+ months. Mind you, as I shared, the military was sending me somewhere else. I wouldn't have the capacity to follow up and make sure everything was good to go. And so although I wanted to support her 100%, I couldn't press forward with that application just due to what was coming out from me doing the proper screening, at least what I could do. So that is an excellent nugget. The second part is the due diligence, and where you were unpacking how when you're going to purchase a property, really taking that time during that due diligence period and searching every nook and cranny and looking at from the floor all the way up to the roof and learning if there's been any other, I would say, like cosmetic changes or something made to that property. And something that I've learned is new construction doesn't always mean that it is done perfect or that it is done well, because I have a new construction as well. And there were things that I was discovering, and I don't know if they just throw the houses up now or what, but new construction does not equate to perfectly done. So I just want to throw that out there to anyone who's on the market. Still do your due diligence, even on a new construction property. Anything you'd want to add to that or spark any additional comments?
Of course. There is no perfect situation. Even brand new homes have defects, right? So one thing that I always bring up, especially with new home buyers, is this thing called home warranties. Home warranties cover, some of the major systems of the house, like the HVAC system, or,
That's HVAC. Yep. What's the HVAC?
Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Yes, sir.
So they have warranties that you can actually buy. I think they're annual warranties, and they cover a lot of those major systems. Of course, there's a cost for that, but it's no different than insurance. It's a cost of doing business. So if you don't have a lot of money saved up for reserves, for repairs, replacements, and maintenance, that's a good way you can finance some of that stuff, through a home warranty. I think that's a good tool for those that are just getting in, and maybe they have some concerns about the house and some of the major systems in it. Obviously you should know that by the time you buy that property, because you have so many days to figure that out. But there's I've done it before. I've had home warranties, and it came a point where I didn't need it anymore because I knew what to look for. But that only comes with experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to kind of go through the fire. But that's what makes this industry special. Once you get it, you got it. And, it's my job as a representative of a buyer or a seller to make sure that I support them vigorously. And of course, that's exactly what I do.
Good. Y'all, that's my mentor, okay? So now we've explored real estate. How do you view the relationship between real estate investing and other investment avenues like the stock market? I know you want to deep dive into some EFTs.
Yeah,
We make that
Devaney,
transition.
that's a great transition. I took some notes prior to jumping on that I thought would be helpful for you and I to share
Yes.
with your audience. Do you mind if I just I'm going to take my eyes off of you and look at my other screen here
Yes,
and
sir.
just read a couple of things? Do I have your permission to do that?
Yes, sir. Please. Thank you.
Okay.
Y'all prepare. Get y'all pens and paper.
Well, we're going to get a little philosophical here, but I think at the end of the day, Devaney, this life that we're living in really comes down to certain things. And one of those things that are key to me is called literacy.
Mm.
I want to kind of ask you a question because, you're a young woman, you're coming up, you're seeing the world on your own as a young lady. So what does literacy mean to you?
Now, I don't know how he turned this around. Look, let me tell y'all something, okay? I give my questions in advance so y'all can prepare your thoughts. And he just want to give me a question off the rim. Can I phone a friend? No. So literacy
and if it's too much.
No, this is good. I like it. So literacy, I would in a simple way is saying having an understanding of X and just filling in that X. So having an understanding in this conversation of real estate and not just surface level, but being able to hold a conversation, or if someone's talking to me, at least understand what they're saying so that I'm not getting played at the end of the day.
Sure.
So literacy is having an understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with that 100%. Let me read to you a couple of definitions I found on the internet, just simple Google searches here. So it's not like I created these words. So just full transparency. These are just Google searches. But I thought this would kind of help shed some light on where I'm coming from here. So Literacy Advanced offers the following definition. Literacy is the ability to read, write, speak, and listen, and use numeracy and technology at a level that enables people to express and understand ideas and opinions, to make decisions and solve problems, to achieve their goals, and to participate fully in their community and in wider society. Achieving literacy is a lifelong learning process. So when I offer up that definition from Literacy Advanced, do you kind of see the nexus between that and why some people may make mistakes when investing in real estate?
I can. Even the starting point, I'm like, oh, I was very surface level. Literacy is reading, writing, the math, and there is a lot of that. I've learned so many formulas for real estate, but if I didn't already have the mechanics or the skill, if you will, in what a 1%, 50%, 70% might look like, or reading over a contract or whatnot, like that was good. So yes, I understand.
Ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Devaney Tashay, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.devaneytashay.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.DAV as in Victor, ONEATASHAE.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care.
Okay, I'm going to give you another one, and then we're going to talk a little bit further about this. So what is financial literacy? Can I put you on the spot and ask you that question? It's
you
a tough
can.
one.
Yeah, it is. And the way my brain works, the way I've been programmed from service is you always have an answer, right? We don't say I don't know. So you asking me that, I'm like, okay, so now we're looking at real estate literacy.
Let's just say financial literacy that kind of goes into real estate. So I'm not going to go deep into the weeds on the real estate side, but I think the broad definition of literacy and then the sub definition of financial literacy matters in this context.
Okay, so putting the two together, I would say, so if I have a deal in front of me, I have to be able to articulate or read what's in front of me. Okay, this is such and such property and it's going for X amount. So I was running a rep today for a property in Wichita Falls, Texas, just for practice. Well, this property is for sale at $50,000. Well, I want to understand what is my maximum allowable offer. And in order for me to do that, I have to have a formula in which I take 70% of what the sale price is. I find the after repair value. I do that by running comps on some homes in the surrounding area, taking their average, then learning 70% of what that after repair value is, how much construction will cost, subtracting that and getting me to a maximum allowable offer. That might sound like gibberish, but because of my financial literacy, now that I have an understanding of, okay, the multiplication of 70% of this after repair value equals X, that means I can't offer any more than that. If I do, then I'm losing on the deal. So the financial literacy part is, one, being able to read what it is I'm looking at, and then two, being able to do the math to get me to a place where I can now present my best offer or my maximum allowable offer that will hopefully put me in a position to win if I were to go forth with this deal.
Absolutely. And you notice in your description, you just created an edge for yourself. And I always, regardless if I'm talking about real estate, if I'm talking about stock market issues, if I'm talking about it in my gym activities, it's all about an edge. And so the fact that I'm going to sum up everything you said with the term that gave you an edge. I really think that matters, and I don't think people think that deeply into it. But let me give you a Google definition. This came from Investcyclopedia, okay? What is financial literacy? Financial literacy is the ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, including personal financial management, budgeting, and investing. When you are financially literate, you have the essential foundation, keyword, foundation, for a smart relationship with money. Let me repeat that.
Oh, good.
When you are financially literate, not a genius, just literate, you have the essential foundation for a smart relationship with money. This can help start a lifelong journey of learning about the financial aspects of your life. The earlier you start to become financially literate, the better off you'll be, because education is the key to a successful financial future. It's not a guarantee, Devaney, but it is an edge. And remember, I told you about the edge earlier in this conversation. That is what we look for as investors. And now you are one of those people. We always have to look for the edge. And the fact that you are financially literate, we all want to improve our financial literacy.
Yes.
Because of that edge that I'm talking about. So why am I even bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because it does start young. I know when I was coming up, unfortunately, I don't think my parents had the wherewithal to kind of give that to me. But my God, Devaney, once I started kind of seeing it, it took off from there. And I think you're starting to see it too. And I think your audience, for those that are hearing this and, wonder how can they apply it to themselves, it really just comes down to starting with Google. You can literally start with Google and just start doing your research about things. Go to your local library. Like there's all kind of resources out there to start that literacy journey, whether it's financial, personal health, physical literacy, whatever it is. And by the way, hopefully we have time to talk about that too. But this is all important because it all gives you that edge that you need in life to make it. And so I just wanted to highlight why financial literacy and literacy in general is important, because how can you know what kind of loan you're getting if you can't read the loan documents?
Yeah.
If you go back to 2008 where we had the meltdown, how many people didn't even know they had those negative amortization loans? They never read or they never understood what they were signing on to. So you have to be able not only to read your real estate contract, you have to also read your loan contract. And that loan contract is very tricky. You can't just assume that whoever's putting that contract in front of you has your best interest at heart. You have to have your best interest at heart. And that's where literacy comes in.
That is so good. I keep saying I want to invest in one of those machines that like clap and all that stuff. I need to get that. So even
when a sound machine.
Yeah, a sound machine. There we go. Yes, sir. Or maybe I'll use my phone, YouTube, go to applause. So the contract literacy, this came to mind while you were talking. I was looking at, I think this was during the time I was looking at either refinancing or I wanted to purchase another property. And I reached out to a loan advisor or a loan officer, who someone else had referred. And the contract that he gave me, instead of having a fixed rate, so a fixed interest rate on the loan, is it flexible? What's the term? When it can change?
Adjustable.
Thank you, sir. So it was adjustable. And I was like, I don't want that. I need a fixed rate. And he's like, no, it's okay. We'll leave it at adjustable. And just like in a year, you can refinance out. And I'm like, but who knows where the interest rate will be by then? And I don't know. I didn't have the financial literacy, but I had enough literacy to know that, this is not the way that I want to go. So that is definitely good because everyone does not have your best interest at heart. Or maybe he had this game plan that I just didn't understand or trust because I was always told, hey, have a fixed rate. But if I didn't have all that, who knows where I would be right now if I moved forward with that approach or with that offer.
That's right. And quite frankly, you hear a lot of the professional sports players that make it and then they lose it. And the first thing they say is, well, I really didn't understand how money works. I trusted the bookkeeper. I trusted the CPA. I trusted my manager. They then went from hundreds of millions of dollars to nothing. It's quite troubling, but it all came down to not understanding money and how it works. And you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be an MBA from Harvard to have a proficiency or basic understanding. But you have to have a basic understanding if you plan on not only making it, but thriving.
Yes.
And so I put a lot of emphasis on literacy. And, I don't necessarily read a lot of books and all of that. I'm a very busy person, so sometimes I don't have the time, but I am heavy on the internet. And I listen and look at a lot of perspectives on the internet, and it's worked for me. It has worked for me, and I encourage anyone, whether you do it through books, the internet, whatever it is, invest that time in becoming literate when it comes to money.
Yes, I love that. But two, what I've learned as I'm growing more financially literate is, unfortunately, it's hard to have these kind of conversations. I can no longer have these conversations with everyone. And well, with those that are close to me, because I don't communicate with everybody, but with those that I would normally communicate with. And it's because they look at the information. As I learn, I seek to share. As I learn, I want to give the information. And unfortunately, they're looking at it as I am trying to make them a mini me, if I could say it that way. And they're repelling the information. And really, all I want them to be is more financially literate. All I want them to understand is you can take, if you save your money, you can take that $500, that $100, you can put it in a stock market, you can put it in an EFT that we'll dive into. You can save $1,000 and buy two QQQs, which is only going up, at least right now, that we see, and your money can make money for you. But instead of them taking what I'm saying and like applying it, or even it's like, well, no, you want us to be like you, or it doesn't work that way, or I don't have the money. And I'm like, well, we take a look over your billing statements. I can show you probably where you can find the money if you stop going out to eat as much and you erase some of these subscriptions and da 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 da. So it's interesting that as one, or as a person becomes more financially literate, the ability to have those conversations, it almost limits you to a certain crowd.
Yeah,
I don't know
no,
if you have anything to share on that. Yeah.
Well, I have a lot to say about that. I won't say a whole lot, but in my mind, I have a lot to say about that. But
Yes.
what I can say, Devaney, that you do have to be careful with your knowledge, your skills, and your abilities. Your SKAs is what I call them. Okay, everybody is not able to embrace that at the same time as you are. You have to kind of meet people where they are and slowly share whatever it is that you want. In other words, I agree with you. I've sent materials over to folks and it wasn't well received, partly because of the literacy issue. Not to knock on them, but I'm just saying sometimes this stuff can be a foreign language almost. And you might be very enthusiastically taking it in and applying it to your daily life, but everybody does not have that same vigor. Everybody does not have that same motivation. Everybody doesn't share that same desire. So I've learned at my station in life that you kind of have to meet people where they are, and hopefully they're willing to hear you out. If not, that's the difference between the haves and the have-nots.
You listen.
And it is what it is. So, all we can do is, share and coach and mentor where we're allowed to. But other than that, sometimes we move up and out, and people might not be, happy with that, but you can't look at it that way. You have to keep moving forward. You have to thrive. And hopefully those that see it will see the light and come to it and embrace it.
That's so good. Thank you. And to those listening, y'all, put something in the chat. This is not live, but make sure you come and you drop something in the comments, some fires and some thank yous and all of that. So I think I misspoke and said EFTs instead of ETFs.
Yes, you did.
So, okay, I was like, wait a minute. I said it backward. Now, so ETFs, will you take us away on the ETF background and information that you wanted to provide?
Sure. So it's exchange traded funds, ETFs, and really it's a basket of stocks, bonds, gold, commodities. It's a pool. And you mentioned the QQQ.
Yes.
So there's QQQ, that is an ETF, right?
Yes.
And
That's why
there's
I have
another
it.
one. Okay, but guess what? There's another one called QQQM, which is much cheaper than the three Qs. We call, in the investing world, we call it the three Qs. We don't say, we say the three Qs. So
I knew to get it. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, but I would recommend that you check out QQQM because it tracks the same index. And by the way, you understand these ETFs, they typically track indexes. Are you aware of that?
No, elaborate. I just need to get it.
Okay, so I don't want to get too far in the weeds. I want to be careful. I want to be nice to your audience and to you, that we don't get too far down the rabbit hole, because it can become a rabbit hole. But just know, and I'm sure you're going to look this up after we're done. I hope you do. And you may even want to talk to me about it. But pretty much all ETFs track some type of index. You cannot trade indexes directly. So the only way you can get close to trading an index is through ETFs. The three Qs, it tracks, I believe, the NASDAQ index, which is a technology index. So I'm sure if you were to look up the holdings in the three Qs, you would see it's very heavy in technology. So you're going to have your Apples, your Amazons, stuff like that. It's a NASDAQ type of ETF. Well, the QQQM pretty much has the same holdings, except it's much cheaper. You know how much the three Qs cost, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the QQQM is way more attractive. I'm just throwing that out there for you. But let me get back on track. Okay, I believe there's a couple of things that I have going on with the stock market. Obviously, through my W-2 employment, I am invested in what they call a 457B deferred compensation plan. I got quite a bit of funds built up in there. You can only get that through a public agency. I don't think private employers can legally sponsor that. They have other programs that private employers can sponsor, like a 401k or something like that. Okay. But there's not a lot of options there for me there. So that's what kind of moved me to look for something that I could do on my own, that I had way more control over. And that's what kind of led me to the exchange traded funds. I used to be high on the mutual funds, which I still do play around with the mutual funds, but the mutual funds are a little bit more expensive than the ETFs generally. I am a big believer now in these ETFs. And as a result of that, Devaney, I'm a heavy investor in two things: dividend investing and options trading. Now, both of these are, again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because we can have a whole nother.
That's a whole segment.
Yes, but what I will say, this all goes back to financial literacy. It all goes back to literacy in general. There's no way for you to know that unless A, you're thirsty for that knowledge, and B, you can grasp it. There's no way you're going to grasp that. Even if you want it, you're not going to grasp it if you're not literate. So as you can see, where this nexus of literacy kind of has its tentacles in everything.
Yes.
You have to be literate in order to take advantage of the opportunities and the blessings that are available to you. And you also have to want and desire it. So I believe that as we're younger people, you're much younger than me, okay? I started at your age. I started at your age, so you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do at that age, which is secure your future.
Yes.
Because once you start getting to my age, you want to start thinking about winding down and, living a great life without going to work. And this is where passive income comes in.
Yes.
Okay. So that's kind of where I am. I'm all about passive income. Everything I do is built around that concept. All my investment decisions are based on how is this going to support my life after having a 9 to 5. Okay. My retirement should be much better than when I was working. And that's kind of how we want to set our lives up so that we can live way more comfortably in retirement than we did when we worked. We want to take advantage of the fruits of those labors, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So to me, the best way to achieve that, in addition to whatever monies you're going to get through your retirement and Social Security, that's great. We want that because we earned it. But we also want our other passive money coming in from our real estate, from our stocks and bond investing, and of course our options trading. All of this is considered, somewhat passive income. And that's kind of why I got heavily involved in stock market. I know some people are very leery of that, and I understand why, because it can be seen as kind of casino play, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the numbers don't lie. And
they don't lie.
They don't lie. They don't lie. And there's a reason why you got mega billionaires running around. A lot of them wasn't born they weren't born into money.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go make that money. And a lot of them did it through real estate and the stock market. Let's just be honest. Some of them did it through, owning a business and all of that. And that's great, but the tax treatment off of ordinary income versus capital gains is much different. And again, I'm not a tax advisor. This is not tax advice, but I'm just saying literacy, we have to be strategic in how we make our money.
Yes.
I would much prefer to be taxed at the capital gains rate than at the ordinary income rate. Everybody knows what those rates look like. And everything I'm doing is based on that lower tier of taxation. That's what makes that I call it the snowball effect. Look it up. It's called the investing snowball effect is where I am right now. And I hope you and your listeners get there too.
Yes, that was so good. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I'm not even going to open up the can of worms in regards to taxes. Made a whole post on my Instagram thread about tax write-offs and the importance of tax write-offs and those with businesses and taking advantage of that and all of the things, trying to bring the information to the people so that they can become financially literate. But hopefully they take advantage. If not, while the others are working toward that 1%, we'll still be teaching those so that they can get there as well. Now, this has been so good. I know you want to talk a little bit about fitness. You want to throw that in there before we wrap it up with any save rounds that you have?
Yeah, well, I'll just say, for the audience and for you too, Devaney, we have to take life seriously because there are no handouts here in America. Okay? You either got it or you don't. And I much prefer to be in that line that have it. And not because I'm trying to get rich, but I just want to be healthy and happy. I don't want to want for anything. I don't want to depend on anybody. I want to be there for my family, especially for my 2 sons that I have. And I want to leave something for them so they don't have to work so hard. I mean, I want them to work hard, and trust me, they will. But, I want to give them an edge. And that's where it really comes down to is this edge that I talked about earlier in the conversation. We need to create an edge so we can realize our financial security. That's where it is. Okay. And I'll leave it there.
Okay. Is that your those are your final rounds?
Just on that part.
Okay. I wanted to make sure. I was like, wait. Oh, look, I'm trying to squeeze out all the juice, y'all.
Let's get it then. Let's get it.
So then the last question, because this has been so good. I really haven't been looking at my questions, just flowing how we normally would in a conversation.
I told you it would be good. I told you
it would be good, sir. Respectfully.
Respectfully, you got it.
So, how do you prioritize your fitness and well-being alongside your real estate career and being a father and everything that you have going on? Bringing balance.
It's a commitment. So I have a very strict daily schedule. So Monday through Friday is somewhat scripted in terms of timing. So I get up at a certain time every morning. I do my meal prep. That morning, I get to work early so I can debrief and get set up for the rigors of the workday. I do my time at work at a very high level, efficiently and effectively. I then leave that job, turn that phone off so people at work can't call me.
Yep.
And I commit to my 2 to 2.5 hours at the gym. At that gym, it's all in. There's no time to play around. There's no time to, treat the gym as a social club. It's all in. After that, come home, do some more work, eat dinner, finish the day off, and then try to get some sleep, and then do it all over again. So really, to answer your question, it's a commitment to a schedule, Davone'a. That's really what it is. I'm very strict with my time. What I've noticed that you have to be very efficient with your time, especially if you're super busy and you have a lot of things going on. You really don't have time to horseplay. You got to get it. You got to get to it. You got to go all in on it, whatever it is. And then on the weekends, that's your time to shine. That's your time to just kind of relax, rejuvenate, re-energize, and then you do it again, that next week. So it's really having a schedule and committing to that schedule. But can I read you a couple of definitions for personal health and physical literacy?
Do it come with questions?
Does it come with questions? Not this
Yes. Time. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Unless you want a question.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna. So even above generating income, to be honest with you, Devaney, I really think overall health is more important than making money, believe it or not. In my mind, health is the true definition of wealth. And through good health, you can create wealth. What good is wealth if you're not healthy? Is kind of my logic behind it. I'd much rather be healthy and have a little bit of money than be wealthy and sick.
Yes.
I don't want that. So I invest heavily into my health. And that's emotional health, physical health,
that's good.
Spiritual health, whatever thing you can think about, that's what I'm investing in my personal care. So let me just read a couple of things to you. All right. Personal health literacy is the degree to which individuals have the ability to find, understand, and use information and services to inform health-related decisions and actions for themselves and others. Okay, definition number 2. What is physical literacy? Physical literacy is the motivation, confidence, physical competence, knowledge, and understanding to value and take responsibility for engagement in physical activities for life. And lastly, nutrition literacy is the ability to obtain, process, and understand nutrition information and skills to make appropriate food choices. It's important for health promotion and can help people take responsibility for their eating habits. People with high levels of nutrition literacy are more likely to follow dietary guidelines and make healthy food choices. Again, these are all things that can be found on Google just through a regular search. They apply to me, so that's why I picked them. I wanted to share that with you and your audience because I think it matters. And I think, if we as a people would be willing to just take a small step forward towards literacy in general that covers all of these areas, I don't see how you go wrong.
Yeah.
I don't see how you cannot be successful and be happy with your life outcome. I just don't see it. I think if you live by these small things, I think it's a recipe for success.
I would say small principles, or not even small principles, because they make such a huge impact. So just principles overall. And in everything that you've said in this almost hour that we've been just conversing, choices. That's, if y'all don't take anything else away from this, it's choices. It's the choice to have the literacy, the financial literacy, to have the spiritual literacy, emotional, as well as the physical, as well as the, I've already said financial. All of that coupled into one word is the choice. But maybe you want to elaborate.
Well, life is all about choices. And again, you have to be literate to make the right choices. There are some things, Devaney, that are out of our control.
Yes.
We can't worry about those things. All we can do is deal with them as they come, try to mitigate the negative impacts that may or may not come along with that.
Mm-hmm.
But those choices that we can make, we have to do our best to make the right choices. And it's hard to do that if you're not literate in certain areas. I don't know how else to say it. It just, literacy matters. And, you know, there's a lot of things happening here in America, for sure,
yes,
that seem to go back to bad choices. And a lot of that underlies illiteracy.
Say it, say it, say it. Y'all, we are bringing this session, this discussion, all of the things to a conclusion. Is there anything else that you have saved in your repertoire, in your, what do I want to say? In the military, we say, are there any saved rounds? Is there anything else that you just want to leave? Any notes, definitions, without questions? Like, you know. No, I didn't mind the question. That was a good flip. Anything that you would like to leave the listeners with, the viewers with, if you want to share where they can find you, if they're interested in purchasing, or leave that part out. It's all up to you, but I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, no, well, I'm a very shy person, so I'm not out there. I'm not a internet person. I don't have a podcast. I don't even know if I have I might have Facebook, but I don't comment on anything. In fact, I deleted my birthday on Facebook because I didn't like people wishing me happy birthday. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't say an introvert, but I am shy. I am shy, and I'm not out there like that. So unfortunately, I don't have anything like Instagram or anything like that. But Davone'a, if we have to do another session sometime, you know, we can do that just to chat it up with the audience and see where we are with life. But hey, I want to say thank you to you. You know, I'm very nervous right now. You know, I'm not a public speaker at all. And you made it easy for me to get on this podcast and kind of let my guard down a little bit and share a little bit of what I know. And so I appreciate the opportunity and the time and the space to let me be me.
Yes, well, I appreciate it. So what I didn't share, I've been referring to Mr. Percy as my mentor. He's a dear family friend, not because he's been around longer than me. So not to me, but to my mom. And then just kind of took me under his wing and accepted me and asking all of my questions at random. Sometimes we might go a year without talking. I'm like, hey, I have a question. And you're always readily available. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Yes, he was a little hesitant, to come on here. And I was like, it's just going to be us talking like we normally do. It's fine, except we're recording it. So thank you for coming out of your comfort zone and letting your guard down, not just for me, but also for the people. May this be a blessing to everyone that it comes across. And that's it, y'all. That is it. Stay tuned. There are more episodes to come in the month of October with more guest speakers, but it was only right that I opened up the month of October with Mr. Percy. Y'all take care and be blessed.
Thank you.
Disclaimer: as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies, it's imperative that I note and clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insights, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health clinician or a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance to me, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concerns or issues that you may be experiencing.